Sorry, guys. There's some dudes. There was some dudes. Some like one was like 15, one was like 16. Um, and they asked, "Yo, can we do your gutters and do your leaves and blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Nah, I got two sons for that." I said, "But the way you get customers is you get you get. I told him, I said, you get a bunch of flyers, you get a bunch of just print up a bunch of flyers. It says I could do your yard for fill in the blank, or, amount of money. Contact such and such and such and such. Um, I said, and then once you do that, it was two of them. I said, you and your boy. I said, both of y'all go up. Y'all walk up. Y'all eyeball it. Like, okay, yeah, we could do that yard for such and such amount of money. All right, cool. You go to, you know what I mean? You fill it out. That's why you put the blank there. We could do your yard for such and such amount of money. You stick it in the mailbox. I said, you print up about 100 flyers of just, I'll do your yard for X amount, for blank amount. And you eyeball it, the whole neighborhood. I said, 25 of them joints call. You good. If a quarter of them call, you straight. They was like, oh, snap. I said, yeah, that's the hustle. That's how a friend of mine, when I was in high school, he did that. We were sophomores. By the time we were juniors, freshman, sophomore, yeah, by the time we were juniors, he was hiring dudes that were old enough to be his dad. And he used to tell me, he was like, yo, bro, these dudes are mad at me. I'm like, why? He said, he's like, my workers get mad at me. I was like, why? He said, because they, they don't, they, I'm their boss. They don't like me telling them what to do, but I'm their boss. Like, I own the company. I'm their boss. So I'm your boss. Period. And they started laughing. I was like, yeah, for real. I said, his company grew so much, man. He was too young for certain things. He has to put stuff in his mom's name. Now he got like a snowplow company. He got a landscaping company. He got like he does gutters and all of that stuff. Yeah, snowplow landscaping. He got a clothing line. All that stuff. I hipped him to the clothing hustle. Um, this is all in New Jersey. Um, he was like, "Yo, you know, I just thought about. I think I'm gonna sell some clothing. I'm gonna start my own clothing line just for working outside." So I hooked him up with the Somalis in on 125th, like right across. It's like 125th and Saint Nick. It was like a store. It was all the Somalis, and they had these storefronts, and they would sell clothes. You could buy, and it was kind of like the dope game, is in that if you buy more, the price gets cheaper. The price per piece gets cheaper. So I took him up there. You know, um, took him to the spot, to the Somalis, and he just eventually he started going on his own. He made his own little deals with them, and then um, he went to the garment district, and he met some people to make some custom clothing, custom pieces. And he would go to different clubs up in New York, and like he got pictures of him with the Kardashians, all kinds of rappers. Like, and this was before they was like the big. This is when they was just about to pop off. Um, but yeah, man, that's I told him, I was like, y'all. I said, y'all at the right age. Y'all young. Y'all at the right age. So it's dope. I like passing on like information like that. To like younger people. But yeah, man, I like doing that. They kind of looked at me like, oh snap. I was like, yeah, man, that's the hustle. By the time we were seniors, he had dudes old enough to be his dad. He was hiring, and they used to get mad too. Who do you think you are? You can't talk to me like that. Well, I'm the boss. So I want you to rake those leaves. Well, I want you to cut that grass. What's the problem? I worked for him for a while. He's not like a mean dude. It's just like dudes are just mad because he was their boss. He was like a 16-year-old kid who ran it like it was his company. So he had the big giant like he had the mowers where like you cut football stadiums and stuff like that. Like he had, in addition to the small little ride, like the little stand-up mowers, he had all that stuff. You know, I'm out of practice, trying to warm up. What's poppin', man? I ate so much food, I got itis and fell asleep. Turkey itis, whatever you want to call it. Food itis, sleep itis. Yeah, yeah, I'm on stream. Oh, that about fears? Hmm, I guess. I don't know. I think they're scared of small space. I don't know. That's a good, huh? Are they afraid of being stuck in small spaces? You are? Why? Oh, I didn't know you were claustrophobic. Oh, golly. I can see that. You just have to focus and, like, you know, focus your mind. Because when I was younger, I was like, I kind of was stuck in a small space. And then my dad, I think he was, I don't know who it was, either my dad or my uncle. Um, he had to help me out. So he had to go and park his car and come all the way back. And I was like, no, don't leave, no, no, no. And then, but I didn't want to look like a punk. So I was just thinking, calm down. He's coming right back. He's going to get me out. This is forever. This isn't forever. And then my heart rate started going down and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I can understand that. Some people are afraid of dying. Because some people are afraid, I'll say this, some people are afraid of dying because of what they've done in life. Like if you've done a lot of dirt in life, you're gonna be afraid to like. Then what happens is when you're about to die, oh that little baby. When you're about to die, you start to consider what if what if I gotta pay for everything? What if I have to answer for everything I've done? You know what I mean? I've lived life the way I wanted to. What what if I got an answer to that? Now, for me, I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to die a gruesome death. Like I don't want to know what it's like to get your head cut off. I don't want to know what it's like to get ran over by a truck. Although I know a guy who got hit by a truck and he's fine. Like it snapped his leg and everything. They did all kinds of surgery, but he's fine. He's dancing around. Like yeah, yeah. I know two people got hit by trucks. I know two people. I know an old dude and I know a dude that's like my age, and they're both fine. They're walking around. They're fine. So one got hit by a truck. One got hit by an 18-wheeler, and one got hit by a bus. Yeah. So if you turn off all the lights, would you be afraid? But there's nothing in the house that would hurt you. Your mom, your sister, and your brothers, and me, we're here. Yeah, but I don't know. I think fear is just it's just worrying about something that there's a 99% chance it's never gonna happen. No, there's no you don't know. It's not going to happen. It's pointless fear. The things you're afraid of, you think the bugs are going to just cover your body and eat you up? No. You think like Freddy Krueger or whoever, or Jason or Michael Myers or whatever, or Night Night Man or whoever is gonna, is gonna, or like the It clown or whatever is gonna pop out in the dark and kill you. No, it's so there's a 99.99% chance that whatever you're afraid of is not gonna happen in the first place. That's what fear is. It's pointless. Now, if you're afraid of a bear attacking you and you can see the bear, that's normal fear. But anything else besides something you can't see or hear or whatever, it's just pointless. Like I used to have stage fright. I used to be afraid to perform in front of people. And in a way, I'm still kind of afraid, you know. But we're talking about fears, and I'm on stream. And I know they don't want to hear this, but I don't want to ignore my kids. Sorry, guys. Um, what in the world? All right, can you close my door? Thank you, my brother. Yeah, bass, guitar, um, bass guitar. I could play enough piano. I could play enough piano to get my ideas out. I started off playing guitar and lied to everybody and told them I could play drums and had to prove the lie. So here I am. But yeah, um, you got an e-kit? I want one of those. For a while I hated them, and then I kind of, I'll be honest, it's actually normal for drummers to hate e-kits. Um, I've come to, I've learned that it's just an adjustment. E-kits have a lot of them, and if you get used to playing them, you can play. They're like, oh, they don't have dynamics. Yes, they do. The e-kits they have now, you can change the settings, the dynamic of the dynamics. You know what I mean? So I like I like them. I want one. To be honest, they have one. Um, um, I just want an e-kit, man. Like I said, there's one at church, and I want to buy it off the church eventually. I mean, I play a regular kit at church, you know, but I used to have an e-kit, and the people at my church were like, it's not happening. They were like, knock it off. So, um, one of the guys at the church was like, I forgot. I forgot to turn up the volume, guys. I'm so unused to this. I'm so unused to this whole whatever. Mute the mic. Unmute the mic. But I I want to eat kit, man. The church that I play at, there's an electric kit. I stream that every Sunday morning, but like the rehearsals. But there used to be an e kit, and the musical director, who's also the the son-in-law of the main pastor. He went to he works for Amazon. He's an engineer for Amazon, but he also went to college for drums. Um, he was like, Mark, we're gonna get you a real kit. So one day he was like, hey man, I need you to pick some things out at Guitar Center. And he took me there. He goes, what kit would you play? And I picked it out. And he's like, well, let's get some Zildjians. I was like, all right. I said, well, here's a Zildjian pack. It's got two crashes, got a nice 21-inch rides, some hi hats. We'll just get that. He's like, and I bought a Splash. Well, I didn't buy it. He bought it. He bought it. But and so that's the acoustic kit I play. But I just learned. I used to hate e-kits. Excuse me. I used to hate them. Oh no, that's rude. I'm sorry. I used to hate e-kits until like my thinking has changed. I like them. I don't like them all the time. I don't want to play on them all the time. But I do like them. And the technology's definitely gone a long way. Like you can change the dynamic setting and what have you. So I want one. Just to I don't know, just to kind of get out ideas, and if I feel like playing, like I don't sleep very much. I'll get up at like 2:30 in the morning and just be like la la la, or be on the internet or whatever. Um, but I could, instead of waking up wasting my time, or sometimes I'll get up 2 in the morning. I just sit on a practice pad, you know, scrolling through YouTube. Um, but to have an e kit where I could actually just play, I wouldn't mind it. Sorry, guys. I'm too full of Thanksgiving leftovers to do anything high energy. I just ain't got it in me. I got, oof. I've been eating and eating. I know I gained at least, nah, I probably gained about 2 pounds. About 3 pounds. So I probably weigh 204, something like that. 205. I was wondering if you're gonna recognize it. It's not really high energy. That's just not. That's just like finger you how they could just play at high speed with less energy for extended periods of time. Ooh, even that took something out of me. Finger technique. It takes a lot more to do this than it does to do that. So when I'm moving around, I'm just. And the lighter you play, the faster you play. The lighter you the lighter the touch you use, the faster you play. All finger technique. It's this. Well, this is the fulcrum. Really, your fulcrum can be anywhere. Like sometimes I play like this, where I give it the three finger, and there, like my hands have gotten so developed that I could kind of create my own fulcrum. Doesn't really matter where I put my hands, you know. So a lot of times when I'm relaxed, I might give it a two finger, you know, and I'm like. Two finger, really. Sometimes it's one finger, really. But hey, just two finger, you know. But on average, I'll give it to like three finger. I might. If you see me doing this, I'm still giving it to three finger. But you know, sometimes it'll go to here. And the reason why is because sometimes I'll get so relaxed instead of swinging, instead of doing this, I'll rely on the weight of the stick, you know, to provide the power. You know, without having to extend my arms. You know, where it's all kept in here. That's all finger technique, all of that. Even this. Instead of playing with my wrist and having to use my elbows to do that, I could play with my fingers and use my wrist to do that. You know, economy of movement, that's another thing that helps a lot. Feel Good Inc. Is that by the Gorillas? Feel Good Inc. I'm trying to remember. It's a pretty simple beat. I'm sorry, I can hear this rattle through the microphone. The mic's picking it up. Oh, that's why. There we go. No, I was hearing this rattle. And you could tell there was metal on metal. And I've keyholed a lot of cymbals, you know, until I realized, like, oh, they got keyholed because it was metal on metal. I didn't want to ruin this thing. A good thing, I tell everybody this all the time. This is just like a really, really good rule of thumb. Um, is make sure your singles, doubles, and paradiddles, you can play them all at roughly the same speed. It doesn't have to be, but make sure you can get them at the same relative speed. Because once you work for the same relative speed, over time you're gonna be able to play them at the same speed. But don't try to be perfect. Just work on getting. You know, it's just singles, doubles, and paradiddles. Then you might. My biggest influence, well, what got me playing drums? I originally was playing guitar. Has anybody in the chat ever seen the show Family Matters with Steve Urkel? Everywhere you look, what was it? There's a bad rare condition. In the newspaper page. The grand design. Yeah. Family Matters, where the dad was the cop, and Steve Urkel was in love with Laura, and Steve had this machine where he turned it to Stefan. And well, when I was young, I looked like Steve Urkel, except I had really, really, really bad skin. I looked exactly like Steve Urkel. Exact glasses, pocket protector, everything. I was a straight up nerd. But I played guitar. When I came up, the cool guys were, well, it was weird. I played guitar, and I was never cool. I was never the cool guy. I was always the weird dude. I was always too white for black people and too black for white people. That's just the truth. I was too black for white people, too white for black people. So, because, you know, I grew up and I spoke with good diction and I got teased for that. Um, and I listened to, like, my mom and dad, they listened to a lot of stuff. Like, I grew up listening to Rolling Stones and stuff like that. And Yes, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Jimi Hendrix, of course, Um, so, and then later on, I became a Kiss head. So I was like too black for white people and too white for black people. Um, so I was like it was a weird music nerd. And my boy Ronnie Cockermanzadi, he was a drummer. He was like the epitome of cool. He had a band with my boy Darren Rourke and another dude named Charlie Malik, who was like a grade ahead of us. He played bass, but I saw like how Ronnie, he got all the girls. He was just like the cool dude. Like he rode around. We were all young. I was like 13. We were all around the same age, like 12, 13. And he was riding around on his moped with his helmet and all of that. And meanwhile, we're all riding around on bicycles and whatnot. Like he was a cool guy. And he played drums, and he was a pretty good drummer. And and after that, like I was just like, yo, I saw one of their practices, and I was like, yeah, I could play drums. I could play drums. I was lying to people, lying through my teeth. So, in order to keep up the lie, I stole those wooden planks off those dress hangers that women get. I went in my mom's closet, stole a couple of those. They have like the wooden sticks on the bottom. I took a couple of those. I took some Tupperware bowls and some boxes and what have you. And I learned like a bunch of Zeppelin, just and I didn't have a kick pedal, so I was like, and I'm left-handed. Like I'm left-handed. I just play right-handed, so I'm playing open-handed and yeah, doing just like figuring stuff out. And then um, a friend of mine, Tommy Morris, he was like, "Hey, Mark, I got a drum set, bro." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "You can have it." I think he just he wanted to see if I could actually play. That's why he let me have it. But by the time he gave me that set, I knew enough of the basics of playing drums to kind of fool him. And then the competition kind of kicked in. My competitive side, my obsessive competitive side kicked in. And I just shedded and shedded and shedded and shedded. So by a year and a half, I had learned every Zeppelin tune. I had learned every Rush tune from Fly By Night to, at the time, it was like Moving Pictures, and I learned a couple of albums after that. I was learning Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I was just roasting dudes. About 2.5 years. By about like 2.5 years, I was practicing like five and a half hours, 5 to 5.5 hours a day, every day. Saturdays and Sundays was probably like 8 to 10 hours. But weekdays, I'd go home and just come home from school and just, do my homework and then practice from like 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And my mom, God bless my mom. She was cool with it. She was like, he ain't on the corner. He ain't on the corner selling drugs. So hey, why not? You know. Um, so that's what inspired me to play drums. So even now, this is keeping up the lie. I mean, that's how I started. It was based on a lie. I just kept it up. And another thing is the reason why I kind of went in. It was almost like I got too good because I proved my point, but I proved my point to the point where I got so good I became the house drummer for a bunch of bands. Like they'd be like, "Yo, bro, I heard you play with such and such. Yo, man, can you come play for us?" Okay, so I was playing with a bunch of other bands, and I was playing like for 4 or 5 other bands. So then by the time I was like a junior in high school, I was playing in bars and clubs with guys who were like, you know, they were like between 27 and 32 years old. I was playing in, you know, so it was, that's what inspired me. But in terms of just like music, I always, I say this: I didn't pick music; music picked me. Um, I remember I was like maybe 3, and I fell in love with music. I remember looking at the Rolling Stones album "Let It Bleed," and I took it, I put it on a record player, and I remember looking at it and just thinking to myself, I want to be a musician. And I was like, I really want to be a musician. I just want to be a musician. I didn't know why. I wish I would have picked something different, like I want to be a lawyer or a doctor, but I want to be a musician. You know, and I don't know if I remember praying, like, asking God, like, or saying, God, I really want. But I remember thinking to myself, I really want to be. I hope to be a musician. I really want to be a musician. Um, until I just became a musician. You know, so I got like music chose me. I didn't choose music. Music just it hit me. Even when I was like I was talking about that Rolling Stones album, Let It Bleed. This is back where in the part of New Jersey I lived, you could leave your doors unlocked. Um, I came home from Head Start school or whatever you want to call it. Like before you go into kindergarten, it was that school. And I remember they had a little bus or whatever, and it would drop you off in front of your house. And there was our house was here, and there was another house over there in the back, and it was a big courtyard. And they would babysit me until my mom and dad got home. So I I remember the I remember what happened was instead of going to the babysitters, somehow I knew the basement window. You know, like you have a basement, it's got those little windows on the bottom. I somehow climbed in through the basement window, went up the stairs, and then I start pulling out all the records. And I remember playing the records, staring at the album covers, like, you know, just mesmerized by just music. And, then I remember my mom and dad opening the door. Oh my God, what are you doing here? Blah, 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 blah. Like, whack, 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 whack. But that was I was like 3. That was like my earliest remembrance of music. So ever since, and it's like my wife. My wife has always done like, she's always danced. She's done like, you know, ballet. Not that kind of dance. I have to specify because there's a lot of strippers out there. But she, you know, did ballet, modern dance, the whole jazz dance, and all of that stuff. And, you know, but I have pictures of her when she was like 3. Her mom was a dance instructor. You know, she danced at I don't know if it's still open. It's called the Kelly School. My wife's from New Orleans. It's in New Orleans. But you know, my wife is the same thing. She was dancing since she was like 3. You know, so she kind of understands the drive that artists have. So she's cool with it. She wanted to marry a music lover. You know, she ended up getting a musician. So so that's my story. Okay, Eddie. He's like one of my favorites. Eddie, Jimmy, and Eddie. Um, those are like my favorites. It's kind of like what Steve I said. There were two people who changed how music was, like guitar was looked at, or even like it just changed it. Jimmy, of course. There's a before and after Jimmy, and Eddie. There's a before and after Eddie. I don't know who the next guy is, but he's gonna be like, sheesh. Now, a guy that you probably never heard of, that's one of my heroes, and he was actually one of Eddie Van Halen's here. Eddie Van Halen was a fanatic about this guy, Alan Hallsworth. I was hip to Alan Hallsworth because he played everything, jazz, rock, everything. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever. He played everything. Um, but I was just because I was listening to a lot of jazz and fusion and stuff like that. I knew who Alan Hallsworth was. It wasn't until years later that he got signed to Warner Brothers, the same label Van Halen was signed to, um, that I realized like Eddie was an Alan Hallsworth fanatic. Um, but and I don't blame him because Alan Hallsworth is that dude. Alan Hallsworth will make you stop playing. He's his style is like the whole syntax and stuff like that. Like he's a guy who designed it. Like a company got behind him and was like, hey, design. It wasn't even. It's not even necessarily a synth controller. Well, it kind of is. It's kind of weird MIDI synth controller thing. But his entire life, he was trying to make a guitar sound like a saxophone because he loved Charlie Parker, and you know he's from England and he was dead broke. So his dad was like, I can't afford the saxophone, but here's a guitar, son. Go on, work with that. And and he did. And he spent his entire life trying to make that guitar sound like a saxophone. Coupled with the fact that he was musically illiterate. Um, he had to, of course, he had to come up with his own like way of writing music. But I think personally, because he wasn't, he didn't have like the rules to constrict him. I think he was free to do whatever he wanted, like to break the rules. And I understand that because even with playing drums, I thought drums were like violin. There's no left-handed violinist or left-handed cellist or whatever. Um, you just play. You know, there's no left-handed piano player. You just play. And I thought drums were the same way. So I've always played on a right-handed kit, but it actually gave me an advantage in that I a lot of times I lead with my left. My left hand is just stronger. You know, it's just it's faster. It's so. Um, but I don't think I would be as good had I had played a right-handed kit. I mean, not a right. Had I played a left-handed kit, I don't think I would be as good. You know. dedicated to how I'm feeling you. That's been so long ago. Wow. Um, yeah, whew, these things start to stink. What's up? Yeah, give me like two of them, bro. I got itis, man. Boy, I got itis, man. Bad. All that Thanksgiving food. I'll be out in a minute, man. I want to watch a movie. Yeah. Oh, play? Or do you want to lose? All right, that's what they all say till they lose. Oh, beat it, peon. Nah, I don't know Slipknot, my brother. Sorry. By the time Slipknot came out, I was deep into this. I was deep into that, man. Um, like it's kind of weird, man. You gotta kind of. I was playing rock for so long, man. I hadn't. The thing about rock drums is you kind of kill your touch. If you play it too long, and you want to play other stuff. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep from burping into the mic. If you're like you're a drummer and you want to play more than just rock, there comes a time where you kind of got to let it go, and you got to kind of dedicate a significant amount of time to other stuff. And then, so by the time you go back to rock, because you kind of have a foundation in rock, you can kind of dust off the cobwebs. Sorry, guys, my phone's going dead. But you can kind of dust off the cobwebs and go back to rock. You know, right now I'm in the process of dusting off the cobwebs. Because for a while I wouldn't get a double bass pedal. Like even like before I had like a giant 7-piece kit with a double pedal, and I had a little jazz kit. None of this was here. It's just tom, floor tom, and kick. But even then, I would prefer to play on the smaller kit because I was really trying to learn how to just groove, you know. And like, not for nothing, but like rock grooving isn't really grooving; it's playing parts. And I didn't learn that until like I learned how to do. You know what I mean? That takes precise feel and touch. You know, and it takes a lot of dedication. Now it's easy to do this. You know, that's easy. It's just pushing on energy. And the faster you play, the more you can get away with playing sloppy. I noticed that when, of course, there was a bunch of us when I was coming up. It was just like the metal drummer scene. And one of my advantages, I could pull from jazz and R&B and incorporate that stuff into drums. But there was another guy. I don't want to name his name. You know, he died, but I don't want to name his name. I just have respect for the guy. We came up together. But there was this guy named Bob Butterfield, and this dude could play anything. When I say anything, anything. It was him, Joey Novola, Johnny Marchand. Those guys could play anything, like anything. And he had like 3 drum sets set up. He had this jam night where there was like 3 drum sets set up. It would be me, it would be Bob, and he would just invite different drummers up. And he would invite me up, and he was like, I like how you play because you pick your spots. Like I would notice metal guys couldn't play basic blues. Like, play that basic blues, you know. And my boy, he could do this. He could play that, but playing this, he couldn't do it. You know. Now, and all his drums, his rolls sounded like that. Instead of going like something like this ain't what you do. That ain't what you do. If you're playing something like this, you keep it simple. You're playing a simple beat, you keep it simple. But my point is, you become one-sided. You play one kind of music, you become one-sided. You become one-dimensional. You know. So by the time I fully dedicated myself to other kinds of music, by the time Slipknot came out, I was already I'd moved on to other stuff, and I don't want it to feel like, oh, I left rock alone because it was too easy. No, it's rock has its own difficulties. I just wanted to learn other stuff. It wasn't like I was gonna just abandon rock and roll, because right now I'm in the process of actually going back to it. So it's funny you mentioned Slipknot, because I'm about to just shed on Slipknot. You know, it just worked my way up. You know, there's another band I want to check out too. You know, even I'll say this, even guys like Derek Roddy. When Derek Roddy started playing, when he tried out for, oh man, I can't remember these guys' name. You know what I'm talking about. Mike Mangini was playing drums for them for a while, until the original drummer, the original Mike, came back to the band. But Derek Roddy kind of went there for a while, and he played with them. Well, he auditioned, and he just couldn't cut the mustard, man. He couldn't do it. So, and it was because he was so steeped in the double bass metal thing, you know, and even in rock, there's a lot of, like, you can't like see in that metal thing, like, or you're just gonna get pigeonholed in that. And there's not like for me, I don't look at drums as I'm gonna play in a band and we're gonna do this and we're gonna tour the world. No, I'm like, I want to be a professional drummer in that. I want to play all styles, but I want to learn a bunch of stuff so that if they hear me in a rock situation or a jazz situation or an R&B or a gospel situation or a country situation, I could fit right in. You know what I mean? So eventually there comes a time where you gotta leave stuff alone to move on. That doesn't mean you're driving it. It just means you gotta dedicate your thinking and your focus to something different. You know, so. Nah, I don't know Chop Suey. By the time System of a Down was out, I was well into like gospel. Well into gospel. Um, yeah, when they came out, I had just moved to Atlanta, and yeah, I was hardcore. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I was playing drums. I was doing gospel gigs and R&B gigs, playing bass. I wasn't even playing drums. I wasn't even playing drums in church. I was playing bass in church. I was playing bass so like people didn't know I played drums. They, you know, and then I started playing drums. They're like, wait a minute, what? You play drums? I'm like, yeah, I'm a drummer who plays bass. Like, I play guitar too. You know what I mean? So people didn't even know I played drums. You know. And then I started playing drums in church, and that opened up a bunch of drum gigs. That's kind of how I got back into drums. You know, because even when I walked away from music, when I came back, I was playing bass. I wasn't playing drums. You know, everybody knew me as the sound guy. I hauled sound equipment. They didn't even know I played instruments. They thought I was just a sound guy. You know, and I wasn't like, hey, guess what? I'm a drummer. Like, I'd see a dude playing, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty simple. He's playing, you know, but I wouldn't. You know, it's not like you walk up, hey, guess what? I'm a drummer, and I play bass, and I play guitar. You know, it's you know, it's just, it just is what it is. So I never really talked about it to anybody. A few people knew, but nobody. Like, dude, I dated girls who didn't even know I played drums. Like, where we lived together and they didn't even know until like almost a year into us being together, and I introduced him to a good friend of mine, my boy Gil, and he had like 3 drum sets set up in his house. Dude had a lot of money, and I used to go over and just play, and he was like, and the girl I was with at the time was like, I didn't know, like, you're, I didn't know you played drums, and I didn't know you were good, So I didn't, it's, you know what I mean. It's not something I led with, you know. So I don't know. And it's funny you said that because people at church have been trying to get me to sing. They've been trying to get me to sing for years. I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't. It's like standing on stage naked. That's too vulnerable. You know what I mean? So